You guys, so the UN is moving its headquarters to Nairobi, Kenya. I'm going to tell you guys exactly what you should be worried about as an American. What should you expect? How do Kenyans respond to this move? Why is it happening? When is it happening? And how much of the UN is actually moving to Nairobi? And how does this all relate to foreigners coming to Kenya only investing in real estate and not actually providing opportunities to the locals? I'm Austin Holleman. I'm going to break it down as fair as I can to you with a little bit of bias. And I'm going to tell you exactly all you need to know about this situation. So make sure you like the video, subscribe. Let's get into it. So the first thing is the UN has announced that they are planning to relocate their headquarters by 2026 to 2025, which this statement is not entirely true and is not completely solid yet from the research that I did. The agencies that the UN is looking to relocate from New York to Nairobi, Kenya. Keep in mind, the UN is here in Nairobi, Kenya already. I see them all the time. I know several of them that work at the UN. They're already here. But the agencies that they're looking to relocate to Nairobi is UNICEF, UNFPA, and UN Women. That is only 3 agencies. The main headquarters will remain in New York City in the United States, not the entire organization of the UN. Now, why exactly is the UN doing this? Well, number one, you guys know that the UN do provide a lot of relief to places like Africa and Southeast Asia, but in specific, a lot of the UN's money or a lot of operations that they do happen in Africa, and it's been that way for a long time. So they want to move closer to the people that they're supporting, and it is cheaper, for obviously a lot cheaper for them to operate in Nairobi versus New York City, obviously. Nairobi is already the host to the UNON, the UNEP, and the UN Habitat, and this would add to the amount of locations that the UN calls its headquarters and not replace Geneva, Vienna, or even New York City. And I'm going to give you guys a quote to reassure you that this is not completely solid yet. The UN's deputy spokesperson said that it's one option being studied, but it's not a sure thing. Now, why exactly would they pick Nairobi? Because Nairobi is not the only cheap place in Africa that they could operate in. Uganda is a lot cheaper than Nairobi. A place like Tanzania is even cheaper than Nairobi. Well, the first point is it's 20 to 25% cheaper than New York or Geneva, obviously. And Nairobi is pretty much the diplomatic ecosystem of East Africa. Now, Nairobi is also the transport and the tech hub of East Africa. If you guys don't know, companies like Google have offices out here. But let's talk about what's really important. How will this have an impact on Nairobi's economy? And if you guys don't know, there's about 800 employees that they plan to relocate to Nairobi. And even though this is a small number, you know, greed is a very real thing here in Africa. And a lot of these developers here will try to build luxury condos, luxury apartments. They'll try to satisfy that Western standard of living when it comes to infrastructure, housing, etc., transportation, shuttles, all that kind of stuff. They will try to make the Westerners as comfortable as they can because they know they have the money, because they know that their salaries will not turn into Kenyan shillings. They will pretty much keep the same salary that they had in New York City and just come to Nairobi, which means that they'll be living on top, which means that these people will have a lot of money to pour into the economy, which means that they will open businesses, which means things will start getting expensive a lot faster. Areas like Gigiri, Runda, Mathagai, Westlands, Lavington, Kilimani, Kileleshwa, where I live at, are already pretty expensive, and the average Kenyan cannot afford them. Obviously, the average Kenyan is earning $300 or $400 a month, so a lot of these places are the small percentage of Kenyans that can afford to live here and foreigners. These prices will increase even more. And things like international schools and private healthcare will also grow. And local contracts and security, transport, catering, and IT will benefit the most from this. Now, because of speculation, this could even cause the rent price to go up. Now, what do they call this? They call this gentrification. If you guys, I used to live in Dallas. I'm from Fort Worth, Texas. And even places like Oak Cliff, they used to be like, well, I don't know if it still is. It was one of the most dangerous places you could be at in Dallas. Now you can see white folks jogging through the neighborhood in $8,000 a month condos in places like Oak Cliff because they gentrified it. What happened to those people? They had to move further out of the areas that they always lived in, and they had to move to another part of the city. The same thing is going to happen to places like Runda and Kiambu and Tattoo City. People are going to have to, the locals in specific, are going to have to go further out away from areas that they've always lived in Nairobi because the prices will hike because of an influx of foreigners and cash flow coming into the country. And what this does is it causes more tension in between locals and foreigners. Now, I'm not saying all Kenyans hate foreigners, but there are a good amount of them that do. I've encountered them myself. They have not been brave enough to say anything to me the way how they should have, but I've been able to read between the lines whenever they do. And I've even you guys know how they have riots that CNN and everybody else likes to make it seem like the city of Nairobi is burning down when it's not. A lot of those are in the CBD, which stands for Central Business District. That's what CBD stands for. A lot of those riots are usually only in that area. But because the locals realize that, hey, people like Austonholleman are coming to Nairobi and they're showing that they're living their great life and they're not really experiencing the same thing that we going on. I'm living in an area where my electricity is going out. I don't have internet, or the area that I'm living at is so poor that they can't sell condoms here. They don't even have clean water for me to buy here. But Austin is online showing his great life. She told me that there is a plan for, I forgot what the protest is that they have in June, but that they plan to redo that in areas like Kilimani and Kileleshwa, so that way we could share the same consequences of the economy that they're feeling. And this is just to show you guys that economic inequality can soon turn into an actual security issue, even if you're a foreigner, even if you're living in an area where those protests don't happen. It is going to be more likely to become a reality if the UN comes here and prices double. Like, for example, my rent right now in this apartment is $750 a month. If they come here and it turns into $1,500 a month, yes, even I will move away because I'm not going to pay that amount of money. That's more than I was paying Dallas. I'm trying to keep my rent to a certain level as well. Now, this is why I keep telling you guys seem to only think that you can make money off of real estate and just come all these empty luxury apartment buildings that they got sitting around Nairobi that are also cheaply made as well, but we'll do another video on that. There's a lot of empty apartments. What they don't have is jobs. I keep telling you guys, this is why we do the import-export webinars. This is why we had Troy's webinar to show you guys how to market a business that you're bringing to Kenya. This is why we've done the coffee webinars. I'm doing stuff. You guys notice I haven't done a real estate webinar yet. I will at some point, but I think that market is just being oversaturated. What you need to understand is if you're coming to Kenya or you're going to any other country, you need to create opportunities for the locals to have a fucking job so they can afford to live in those areas that you guys are building those apartments at. That shit's not that hard to understand. Like, what sense does it make to, I'm just going to keep buying apartments. Oh yeah, what you guys are really doing is this. What you guys are really doing is practicing capitalism. You guys aren't really coming to Kenya to actually improve anybody else's life and actually give people livable wages that they can live in areas just like you, because this is how resentment gets caused. You come here, you live the luxury life, you're not providing any. How many jobs are you creating by buying an apartment besides hiring a cleaning lady? I mean, that's pretty much it from all I could think. I didn't say buying an apartment building, buying an apartment, one apartment. You are just pretty much employing the cleaning lady. That's pretty much it. I don't think you're really employing that many other people. Correct me if I'm wrong. You need to open up a restaurant. You need to do something else that's going to give the locals a shot at actually being able to upgrade the quality of life. Because if you don't, eventually they will start to resent you because you're just creating a bigger gap between the rich and the poor. And you're pushing them out of their neighborhoods. And for men, maybe you're taking their women. It is just a number of things that's just an accident waiting to happen. Even though Kenya has a growing middle class, yes, I know that. I can tell you what's not going to grow the middle class: buying a fucking apartment. That's not going to grow the middle class. You need to open an actual business so people can actually make money. I'm not going to harp on that for too long. I know I keep repeating myself. Let's go to the next point. A few businesses that you can actually open now that the UN is actually looking to move here is things like catering. You can invest in transport, translation services, IT. A lot of these things that foreigners will need, you can invest in. That way, locals can continue to stay in those premium areas. Now, on the other side, I can talk about how the tech industry will gain from the UN coming to Kenya. Nairobi already has a shared amount of UN ICT services, but higher compliance standards can raise local vendor capabilities and expand opportunities for Kenyan tech firms. And the UN can also aid to infrastructure upgrades due to a higher standard and expectation of living from the staff. Now, furthermore, back to helping the community. I haven't dropped this video, but I have a video that's unlisted where Troy, Bobby, and we all went to some very poor area. I think it was like far out east past the airport, I think, here in Nairobi. We went there to visit a basketball team that Troy has been coaching for years. Troy's done a lot of community service here. That's why a lot of people love him. But he's been coaching these kids and preparing them to go to other countries like Denmark to play basketball, get scholarships, and actually improve their quality of life. A lot of these kids were maybe from South Sudan. They were in the streets or something, or they were in civil war. Who knows what happens? And then Troy comes along, teaches them a valuable skill that allows them to upgrade their life. Something that you can't do by buying an apartment. You guys are just worried about profits and investments. You need to improve the quality of life for the locals. Now, I know this video is about the UN, but the buying the apartment only thing touched me a lot because I heard a lot of Kenyans online talking about they're panicking because they realize that they're going to pretty much have to get the hell out of the city because the prices are going to go a lot higher. And again, key takeaway, yes, the UN will have some benefits. Maybe they'll come here to, if a civil war starts somewhere, they'll just bring their blue hats and just spectate like they always do. But yes, things like the tech industry, maybe those things, the infrastructure will get better. But see this as an opportunity to open a business and actually help people that live in Nairobi improve their quality of life. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys enjoyed that, give the video a like, subscribe. Like I said, leave a comment. If you guys want to help us support, you can always hit the Cash App at $Auston We are working on and I'm not going to say too much, we are working on our own project here in Kenya where we will be doing these sort of things and employing Kenyans that will be coming up this October. So make sure you stay tuned and subscribe. You don't want to miss it. I'll take you guys alongside the whole journey.